Hello, comrades. Thank you for tuning in for our Zoom call with Andy Smith from Partizan Brewing. Having to do this, of course, through a Zoom call with the current coronavirus situation, but hopefully we'll be able to get down there soon and meet face to face. Andy's the owner and founder of Partizan Brewing, who's our featured brewer for December, and they're down on the famous Bermondsey Beer Mall in London. So I have a few questions for him that he's kindly made some time to take us through. So, Andy, first, simply, how did Partizan get started, and how did you end up owning and finding a brewery?
So it was, I was working at a brewery at the time in North London. This is, I guess, around 2010. I've been working at Redemption Brewing in Tottenham. And this was a time when there were maybe only sort of 10, 11, 12 breweries in London. The sort of craft beer thing had started. It was very, very small still, so everybody very much knew each other at that time. And I used to quite like the Colonel beer, so I used to visit there quite often on Saturdays and became quite close friends with Evan. Spend most of my Saturday mornings down there. I've been at Redemption for 3 years. I'd done some of my brewing exams, and my boss, Andy, and myself had a chat about what the next step could be, and it was either going somewhere bigger, like potentially Fuller's or Thornbridge, and doing my degree, or Andy suggested starting my own brewery, and I wasn't entirely very business minded. Had no kind of great drive to start a company at that time, but as I said, I was quite close with lots of the other brewers, and there was quite a lot of social events as well. So I remember just kind of going around and speaking to everybody about what my options might be, and speaking to Evan. And I think at this point they just moved from where they were on Maltby Street to their new site at Bar Terminus. And they had the old brewing kit, which is a 6-barrel brew kit, stacked up in the corner like some kind of modern art sculpture. Just having a very simple conversation on Saturday morning, and very off the cuff just offered me the brew kit for free to start the brewery. So I thanked him.
How do you say no?
And then I went away to speak to a few friends of mine. I'd actually, when I was at Redemption, I used to homebrew quite a lot when I was there. Andy was very generous with allowing me to use the resources there, so I homebrewed quite often at the weekends when I was there. And I managed to get too much homebrew that I wound up having this competition with friends that was design a label for the beer, and I'll put them all together, and whoever wins, they'll get an advent calendar for Christmas that'll have 24 different homebrew beers in. One of the winners was my good friend Andy, and he'd got back on Facebook, as many of my friends did, to say thanks. And his way of saying thanks was, if you ever thought of doing this as a career and kind of starting your own thing, then I'd be really interested in helping out. And Andy has a much more, we're school friends, we've known each other since we were sort of 11, 12. And he went off and did the whole kind of big business thing. So I remember kind of thinking about this Facebook comment and thinking, well, I'll kind of see if he was being real about this, and gave him a call. I think the next weekend I went up to his house, and within a weekend we got a business plan together, and then it all started kind of like that, I guess. Yeah.
Just like that. It's amazing, isn't it? It seems like most roads in London have led through Evan at the Colonel. It seems that everybody has a story. So I think a great instigator for the scene for sure. And great beer to boot. Fantastic.